Okay. Making sure that that's switched. I forgot I had my headphones in. We are starting at chapter 45, Dogtown. Buster is the name of the chapter. And remember, we had just found out that Buster was the one that had destroyed the Green Eggs and Ham book that Quinn and Metalhead always read, right? Okay. I was boiling mad at Buster, and I hopped down to the basement to tell him so. Want to play ball, Chance? Buster asked when he saw me. No. Buster wagged his tail. Please, please, please. Why did you chew Quinn's book? I barked. Buster's tail stopped wagging. His black nose quivered. Metalhead took Geraldine's spot in first cage. That was Metalhead's book. First off, that was weeks ago, I said. Buster's tail slinked down between his legs. Geraldine needs help. What you didn't help Geraldine. It hurt Quinn. Oh, Buster gnawed his paw. So now we've got a big mess. Uh-oh. Buster gnawed faster. My puppy doesn't like me making those sounds. So, uh-oh is right, I said. Wait, I know how to fix it. Buster jumped up, burped loudly, and retched until he produced a little white puddle with tiny flecks of orange. That's not going to work, Buster. The book's ruined. Uh-oh. Won't do it again. Never, ever. Buster said, licking up his tiny pool of puke. Never, ever. How many times had I heard that before? But Geraldine's right about Buster. He wasn't mean or malicious. He was misguided, was all. I sighed. All right, Buster. Please don't chew any more books. Never, ever, he muttered, chasing the ball around his pen. Lucky for Buster, he was adopted that day. Buster was pretty much the only dog that ever got adopted from the basement, but it happened to him regularly. Someone would ask if there were any Goldens in Dogtown, and management would bring Buster up to the front. Then Buster would do his adopt me routine. He'd dance on his hind legs, push an imaginary doorbell with his paw, and balance a stack of milk bones on his nose. His finale was 2 paws on either side of his bent head. He was praying the family would take him home. It worked every time. Even though I was still mad at him for chewing up Green Eggs and Ham, he was a good friend, and I hoped he'd found his forever home. But Buster being Buster, who knew? So here's the picture of Buster doing his little routine. Okay. Chapter 46. I've got to write this down or I'm going to forget what chapters I've read. A Yorkie named Marlene. So if you haven't added Buster to your chart where we were keeping track of the dogs in Dogtown, then you should probably add Buster. And now it looks like you should add Marlene. Buster was a golden retriever and Marlene is a Yorkie. So if you want to add those to your charts, okay? It was a wild week. First, there was the Quinn fiasco. Then a Yorkie named Marlene arrived in Dogtown. Marlene had the worst case of boo-hoos I'd ever seen. It's tough to get used to a shelter when you've been as pampered as she had been. Marlene had slept on a silk pillow, and she was wheeled around in a baby carriage. She had dozens of coordinating jackets, hats, and booties, pajamas that matched her humans, and a costume for every holiday. She even had a Christmas stocking embroidered with her name on it. My dogs do too. Not only that, her human carried diaper wipes and toilet paper in her pocket. You know why, right? But Marlene's human had gone to the great dog show in the sky, and none of Marlene's relatives wanted to wheel Marlene around in a baby carriage and wipe her tail in with toilet paper. So she came to us. So what does that mean? Marlene's human had gone to the great dog show in the sky? It means Marlene's human had died, right? So now nobody wanted to take care of Marlene and the family, and so Marlene is at the shelter while my dogs are wrestling. You gotta love that, right? Poor Marlene didn't understand that her human wasn't coming back. She kept telling us how sad her human must be without her. Then Bill the Beagle, write that down on your Dogtown chart. Bill the Beagle told Marlene about the telephone pole signs. And that after that, all Marlene could talk about was the sign she imagined was out there. Missing. Adorable Yorkie named Marlene, last seen wearing a leopard print beret. $1 million reward for her return. According to Marlene, every phone pole in the entire world had a poster with her picture on it. There was simply no convincing her otherwise. Poor doggy, right? Chapter 47. The Boo-Hoos Don't Last. Even without her berets, Marlene was adorable. In less than a week, another lady with an empty baby carriage came through Dogtown, and Marlene had a home. Dogs are resilient. We get over stuff. There's always another bone to find, another ball to chase, another human willing to buy you a leopard print coat with matching booties. The Boo-Hoos don't last. Chapter 48. My Dinner with Mouse. With all of this going on, I hadn't had time for a leisurely dinner with Mouse in nearly a week. I had been dropping off his kibble and hurrying back to deal with one calamity after another. Finally, things calmed down enough for us to meet for dinner. Metalhead generally stayed on the opposite side of his pen, absorbed in his manual. He had a pencil in his mouth, and sometimes he took notes. But that night, his nose was pressed through the chain-link fence, watching as I arranged the coffee cup lid we used as a table. "I need your assistance," Metalhead announced as Mouse came out of his knothole house. I was looking forward to telling Mouse about my day and hearing all about his, but I knew Metalhead wouldn't leave us alone until we let him say his piece, so I nodded that he should continue. "Could you please procure a leash for me, Chance? The small size they use for toy dogs like Marlene. The little guy," he pointed with his nose at Mouse, "will carry the leash handle and place it over the latch there. Then I will grasp both ends of the leash with my teeth and pull down, and the latch will open." What he was asking for was easy enough to do. The leashes were hung on pegs behind the front desk. After closing, I could grab one. Mouse's part was also relatively simple. Mouse wouldn't have any trouble climbing the chain link with the leash handle in his mouth. Even so, I wasn't about to go along. "What about Quinn?" I asked. "He's suspended," Metalhead said. "Yeah, but he'll be back. If he does return, then one of you flesh and bloods can read to him." "You know that's not possible," I said. Metalhead's tail whapped the floor in a hard, impatient way. "Forgive me, but I have important business to attend to." "I'm not about to help you leave Quinn, who needs you," I said. Metalhead's face was blank, so I couldn't tell what he thought about that. After that, he went back to reading his manual and left Mouse and me to enjoy our dinner in peace. Can you hear my dogs? Chapter 49, The List. The next day, we had a new crisis. It started when I overheard front desk calling a St. Bernard rescue to see if they could take a 7-year-old St. Bernard. Only one reason front desk would do that. Geraldine's name was at the top of the list. Of course, we had protocol for that sort of thing. First the big bark, then the group howl. We hoped our voices would make a difference, at least buy the big dog a few days. But management wasn't swayed by the big bark or the group howl. We'd used them too often. Now let's meet Geraldine. Here's the picture. Geraldine is the St. Bernard. If you do not have Geraldine on your chart of the dogs at Dogtown, add Geraldine. She's an important one, right? She's always been Chance's friend. It says, older, won't jump up. So much fur, so cozy. Big bark, but big heart. Belly like a squishy pillow. Weighs a lot and loves a lot. Record size poops. I bet she eats a lot too. That's not to say that management wasn't fond of Geraldine. They spotlighted her on the website, moved her to a pin in the front, and talked to a foster home network about her. When none of this worked, management began calling her dog-loving friends. Like I said, all of us Dogtowners loved Geraldine. She had a way of giving you a nuzzle just when you needed it most. I was beside myself, wondering what to do. First, I hopped down to the basement to get Mouse. I wanted him to confirm that Geraldine was number one on the list. It looked to me like she was, but we had to know for sure. Chapter 50. Robots don't get ideas. When I hoppity-hopped my Metalhead's pen, he had his nose, he had his nose in his manual again. He hadn't shown any interest in Geraldine, so I was surprised when he asked about her. I understand Geraldine is experiencing some difficulties. Yep, I said. I have a solution for her predicament. That should have been a clue right there. Robot dogs don't get ideas on their own. They're programmed to do what humans want. But yesterday, Metalhead had proposed his own escape plan. And now he's claiming to have a way to help Geraldine. He also had learned different languages, right? And he understood what he was supposed to do with Quinn. So, a little bit smarter than most Metalheads, right? Most robot dogs. I didn't believe it, and I wasn't going to take the time to listen. I kept hopping, didn't even slow down. Metalhead barked loudly. I ignored him. All I could think about was Geraldine. All right, so I am going to stop here so that you can take a break, and then I will start with chapter 51 after this.